Hello, my name's Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for February 8th to February 14th of 2015. And on February 8th, we have the sun. We can see it denoted here by this black circle with a dot in it. It's in Aquarius. It's in the 49th gate in hexagram. And we can see the chop mark for the 49 on the outside of the wheel. Numbered from bottom to top, the 49 goes yang, yin, yang. Yang, yang, yin. And then the 49th hexagram is then mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right here we have the 49th gate of principles, revolution, ideally the transformation of forms based on the highest principles and not simply for power. Located in the solar plex center in a tribal energy path in the ego circuit called the channel of synthesis, a design of being sensitive that connects with the 19th gate of waiting, approach, that all things are interrelated is apparent and manifested through the action of approach. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we have the following activated gates on February 8th. We have the sun in the 49th gate. We have the Earth in the 4th gate. The North Node is in the 48th gate. The South Node in the 21st gate. Mercury is retrograde and slowing down as it's going to turn direct on the 11th. And it is in the 41st gate. And then we have Venus in the 63rd gate with Mars in the 22nd gate. Jupiter is a retrograde in the 7th gate. Saturn is in the 34th gate. And Uranus is in the 21st gate, with Neptune in the 37th gate and Pluto in the 38th gate. And obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. And you can get your human design chart by going to jovianarchive.com, click on the button that says Get Your Free Rave Chart, and enter your birth information. So the neutrino forecast is basically just a weather report, and no matter what the weather, your individual strategy authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. And as we begin the week, we have one channel definition due to the transit field. We've got the Earth in the 4th gate, and we have Venus in the 63rd, which brings us the channel of logic until the 10th, which is about mental ease mixed with doubt. And none of us are designed to make decisions based on our minds. And this channel brings mental gifts that should be used in the service of others rather than trying to understand our own lives. When your strategy and authority presents you with someone who needs your clarity and inspiration, this transit can support the process. This is scientific thinking through being skeptical and questioning whether the logic or patterns are valid. It brings mental pressure for people without a defined head center, which in turn can bring doubt when trying to analyze your own life. The definition is future-oriented through looking at mental patterns and projecting them into what lies ahead. This can bring worry as the answers revealed by the process will need to be tested and proved to determine if they have practical applications. The best use of this definition is for research purposes and for testing hypotheses, but then recognizing that the results need to be invited before they are shared. We're going to be looking at the sun's Ravi Ching line values daily because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ross said in Living with the Program, the lines of the day, when talking about these daily shifts of line values, he said we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. If your strategy and authority does not lead you in that direction, you can always notice how the program is affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. On February 8th, we start with the sun in the first line of the 49. which is where it's detrimented, and this is the law of necessity. Revolution has no support unless it's perceived as necessary. Detrimented, the misuse of influence to insist that necessity can be created out of actions, the helter-skelter syndrome, to commit acts of disorder as proof that disorder exists. Oversensitivity to rejection that can turn principle into a crusade. And when the sun is in the first, second, and third lines, we're in the lower trigram. This is a day when people are looking more inward and more absorbed in their own process, where a fear or anxiety needs to be investigated. But then later on the 8th, the sun moves into the second line. So it moves from the investigative line up into the hermit line, again, 49th hexagram. The shift happens at 4:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 49-2 is described as the last resort. Exalted determination to exhaust every possible peaceful avenue for change. And then, when satisfied that no other course is possible, to plan in detail before revolution is attempted. The potential to explore every possibility before reacting. Detrimented, the overwhelming revolutionary urge to implement. The overwhelming revolutionary urge that is impatient with accommodation and negotiation. The tendency here is the coup d'etat that has little general support, impatience with accommodation. And second line days, everybody's waiting for something. They're waiting to be called. They're called for their natural talents. People can be really struck in their own trip in the hermit line. It's not a great day to have a party because people would really rather stay home under that second line influence. Also on the 8th, retrograde Mercury moves from the 41st hexagram and backs into the 60. Mercury is a messenger of the gods. This is a communication, expansion of human consciousness through communication, not just words, but also as music. And what do you need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. What might be communicated with Mercury in the 60? A pressure to mutate. This is the gate of acceptance, limitation. The acceptance of limitation is the first step in transcendence. Retrograde Mercury backs into the 6th line of the 60, where it's detrimented, and Mercury is going to remain in the 6th line of the 60 until it turns direct and starts moving forward from our perspective here on Earth. And this is described as rigidity, detrimented, the dogmatic and principled and carefully reasoned understanding that is uncompromising in its severity and often coldly brutal in operation, an uncompromising and severe acceptance of restraint, so uncompromising that the restraint becomes unbearable and can lead to chronic depression. And then on the 9th, the sun moves into the 3rd line of the 49, the shift happening at 3:12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 49-3 is popular discontent, exalted, the ability to destroy antiquated forms once the restrictions have been removed, the potential in sensitivity to reject failed principles or relationships, detrimented with general support, a savageness in eliminating the old order that may permanently scar the new, and insensitivity in rejection and rejecting. And 3rd line days are days to be careful on the roads, be careful of swinging doors and swinging elbows as things bump into us under that 3rd line influence. We've got bonds made and broken, so we might have that happen under the 3rd line influence. This is about a trial and error process and basically a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. It's a good material day. It could be a good day for doing business, but you have to be careful because things can go wrong. But ultimately, that is here to lead us to discovery. And then on the 10th, the sun moves into the fourth line of the 49. So we're moving out of the lower trigram to the upper trigram, moving from the martyr line into the opportunist line. The shift happening at 1:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 49.4 is described as platform, exalted, a political and social agenda embodied in guarantees to human rights that ensures a just and valued replacement of the old order, a political sensitivity to the needs of society, detrimented promises, and only to guarantee support with little possibility of the implementation, a potential to insensitivity to take advantage of the needs of society. And fourth line days, the energy changes from an inward perspective to more looking outward as we move from the lower trigram to the upper trigram, from the personal process to the transpersonal process. Fourth line days have the themes of friendship, companionship, of networking. It's great for social interaction. People are more open to networking, to being friendly and social. Also on the 10th, Venus moves from the 63rd gate to join Mars in the 22nd gate. And in human design, Venus is very powerful, deeply misunderstood, according to Ra. It brings morality, natural law in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us, and what disturbs you on a moral level. Your design and personality Venuses tell us the moral dilemma that you're going to work with in your life. And that if you don't operate with moral clarity, Venus can be unkind in this retribution. Venus is in the 22nd gate of openness, grace, a quality of behavior best suited for handling mundane and trivial situations. Venus is in the 22nd gate in the first line of the second-class citizen, exalted, the ability to accept and enjoy a subordinate position, the emotional awareness to enjoy a subordinate position, detrimented, the inevitable humiliation that comes from claiming a first-class seat with a second-class ticket, where the emotional energy challenges the awareness and can result in humiliation. Also on the 10th, later on in the day, Mars moves from the 22nd gate, where it leaves Venus behind, and it moves into the 36th. And so Mars is in the gate of crisis, the darkening of the light, the rule of cycles in which decline is natural but not enduring state. And Mars is exalted in the first line of the 36, which is resistance, exalted, the energy and determination to persevere in the face of opposition, the emotional power to handle crisis. And Ross spoke of Mars being an extraordinary and immature energy resource that lacks refinement and is subject to outbursts. Mars represents the warrior archetype, and by following our strategy and authority, we slowly refine the energy of our design and personality Mars from immaturity to wisdom. On the 11th, the sun then moves up into the fifth line of the 49, and this shift happening at 11:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the sun in the 49.5 is described as organization, exalted, practical provisions for the needs of others in revolutionary times, which ensures support and continued understanding. A potential sensitivity to the practical needs of others. Detrimented, a concentration on the organization of power to clearly define authority, often at the expense of higher principles. A rejection of higher principles in seeking to organize others. And fifth line days, we're now moved from the opportunist to the heretical fifth line. So this brings suspicion, but also universalization, where something can leak out and spread like a virus, whether it's a YouTube video where there's suddenly millions of viewings or a Facebook post that goes viral. The thing to remember about the fifth line is its projection. The projection is always positive, then followed by negative. They could do it. They'd be great at it. And then if they can't do it, don't do it. For whatever reason, the expectation is not met, then the punishment comes. We talk about there being paranoia associated with the fifth line. What I find is it's only paranoia if they're not out to get you, and given the projection, often they very much are, which of course impacts the nature of relationships. Seduction is also a theme of the fifth line. And then on the 12th, the sun then moves into the sixth line, so the role model line of the 49, and this is shift happens at 9:54 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun in the 49.6 is attraction, the power of revolution in action to expand support. Exalted, the innate impressionability to transform the fence sitter into the committed. The sensitivity and potential to embrace and transform others. Detrimented, stubborn, and often fatal rejectionism, oversensitivity that leads to rejection of principles and rejection of principles and others as a rule. Sixth line days, when you think about the sixth line, it's like, it's on the roof of the hexagram. If you were sitting on the roof of your house, you probably wouldn't be looking at your house as much as what's next, what else is happening in the neighborhood. And so the sixth line, Ra talked about not getting stuck with your head in the clouds because you'll end up with something banging into your kneecaps. It's a day where there's a lack of focus on what's going on around you because folks are looking beyond their immediate environment. So like a third line day, there could be certain dangers of not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming, things of that nature. And then on the 13th, the sun moves from the 49 to the 30. And with this shift, we also have the Earth changing from the 4 to the 29. And so we've got the Earth is in the 29th gate in the hexagram. This is the gate of saying yes, the abysmal, the deep within the deep. Persistence despite difficulties has inevitable rewards. The shift happening at 8:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the sun in the 30th gate of recognition of feelings, the clinging fire. Freedom recognized as an illusion and limitation accepted as fate. And the sun is exalted in the first line of the 30, which is composure, balance in the face of disorder. Exalted, the maximization of limitation in all cases. Stability through feelings, no matter what the situation. And the sun, again, when we're in the lower trigram, first, second, third line, when we enter into a new hexagram. So these are days when people are more absorbed in their own process, more looking inward. With the theme of the investigator, it's a day where there's a fear or an anxiety that needs to be investigated. So it's a day to act. It's a day to study, not to act. It's a day to look into things, not to jump. It's a good day to deal with things we don't understand, can't make sense of, and don't know. And as we continue into the rave new year, the shift of the sun into the 30th gate, the clinging fire, which is the closing stage of the opening of the new year cycle. This is the point, according to Ra, that the power to get things going that is really finds a point in a sense of direction. A few weeks ago, we looked at the Rave New Year, which began with the sun's entry into the 41st hexagram. The 30 is the harmonic gate to the 41st. And so it continues the life force that was initiated by the 41 in the human experiential way through the channel of recognition of feelings. And the 30 is the gate of the fates. Its polarity, the 29th gate, is the gate of saying yes. And sometimes I think about the 30th gate as being the gate of saying no, or at very least not in the way that you expect. It's seductive because it's a gate of emotional desire moving in a wave as a desire that burns to a desire that cools as it rises and falls. This is the abstract process that doesn't follow a pattern like its mirror image, the 1858. This has the 41. It's under pressure from the roots saying, I'd really like to have this experience, and I'm willing to do this and this and this to get it. And then we've got the 30 saying, nah, that's not going to happen, which creates diversity because all that pressure pushes us into this new cycle from the 41, and the 30 is an obstacle that stands in the way and says, find another way. Under the influence of the 30, it's important to cut through the desire and to see what is going to be in the way, to see the obstacles, according to Ra. And then once we identify the obstacles, the 30th gate is how we're going to accept life, accept what's not going to happen. And to accept that it's not going to work in the way that we thought. And in seeing that, in seeing what we have to deal with, we find our way, even if we're not. It's not going to be through what we thought how we would go through it. And basically, by honoring your strategy and authority, it can provide a compass to navigate this transition with ease. And then on the 18th, the sun moves into the second line of the 30th hexagram, with the shift happening at 6:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The sun is exalted in the second line of the 30, which is described as pragmatism, the balance between extremes, exalted the productive application of energy without wastage, not wasting energy on feelings. And like we talked about before, second line days, people are waiting for something. They're waiting to be called for their natural talents. People are, again, lower trigram. They're stuck in their own trip. Not a great social day because people are in the line of the hermit and would rather stay home. Also on the 14th, Mercury is now moving direct, moving forward from our perspective here on the Earth, and it leaves the 60th gate and it moves into the 41st gate, which brings us a new definition. And so we have Mercury, as we talked about before, is about communication. And what gets communicated when Mercury's in the 41? The pressure to experience a new emotional beginnings. This is the gate of contraction, decrease, the limitation of resources which maximizes the development of potential. And Mercury is detrimented in the first line of the 41, which is reasonableness, the appropriate delegation of responsibility. Detrimented, it's a tendency in understanding to assume capability, leading to strain, the hothead, the urge to release feelings. And also on the 14th, Venus moves from the 22nd gate and joins Mars in the 36th gate. And again, we talked about Venus being about morality, values, natural law, and then we deal with the others and the consequences of the world around us. So now we've got Venus in the 36th gate of crisis, the darkening of the light, the rule of cycles that in which decline is a natural but not enduring stage. And Venus is exalted in the first line of the 36 due to Mars also being in the 36, which is resistance, exalted the energy and determination to persevere in the face of opposition, the emotional power to handle crisis. And with Mercury in the 41 and the Sun in the 30, we have the channel of recognition until the 18th, which gives us a few days to dream for the sake of the dream, without the expectation of that the dream will come true or bring lasting peace. This is part of the abstract collective circuitry, so sharing experiences about our hopes and dreams with others will have a profound ability to stir other people's feelings. I'd expect folks to be more restless in their experience of this connection between the root and the solar plexus. For those who don't have an emotional definition, this channel can bring the unfamiliar wave of emotions and a yearning to feel in order to learn. The defined root center could bring more pressure to people who have an undefined root center in their natal chart. So no matter what the energies are that are conditioning you during the week, just remember this experience is about being a passenger riding in a vehicle driven by the magnetic monopole. So enjoy the scenery. Let the vehicle take you where you need to go through following your strategy and authority. Every day we have is a blessing, no matter what the dramas that beckon to distract us. We're all here just giving the performance of a lifetime, excuse me, on this world stage. Just take some time to observe the play as well as act your part by remembering that you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. And I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be on February 15th, 2015. Should be available on the 14th, when we'll continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. And you can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube, where there are New World Birth presences in all those places. And I encourage you to share this information as videos or text as widely as you choose. And I invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. And if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine, in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available, and you can email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you'd like to know how to support us here at New World Birth. As always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. And I look forward to connecting with you in the future, either in a reading or another video, or in an email if you so desire. Peace, everybody.